Hi everyone, this is Migs from PH, and today we have a detailed review on my Nike Bayou Nike Dunk 711. Before we get started, if you do like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. And if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then I'll also be leaving a link to the SNBPH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group in the description box, so I do hope you can join us over there because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit, and it's also where we have the SNB Steel Cabinet, where I take some shoes that I no longer use, or some shoes that I've reviewed in the past, and put them up for bidding at way below market value. Then if you haven't already, I do hope you can sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. Then with that being said, let's take a look at my Nike Dunk 711s that I made on Nike Bayou. Nike Bayou is still a bit new, but technically not really, because even though Nike Bayou has been around for a couple of years, it is pretty much just a rebranded version of Nike ID. Nike ID was definitely one of the most awesome things back in the day. I mean, you could customize Kobe's or you could customize LeBron's, and there were definitely a lot of really nice color options and shoe options. Nike ID did kind of die down because there was a pretty big premium on the price, and that wasn't just the case with Nike. I mean, Adidas and Under Armour also used to have their own personalization sites, and they all just pretty much eventually died out. Nike ID did make a comeback though in recent years by being a rebranded version called Nike Bayou, and I definitely do have some issues with Nike Bayou because sometimes they kind of limit your color options or your color blocking options, but for the most part I still really do enjoy Nike Bayou. In the Nike Bayou section of the Nike website, you do have your usual shoes like your Air Force 1s, your Air Max 90s, Air Max 97s, and you also do have performance shoes like the Infinity Reacts, the Pegasus, and even some football cleats. And though those shoes are really nice and they're pretty fun to customize, every now and then Nike does give us a bit of a surprise by giving us customizable Nike Dunks. I do have to give credit to one of our loyal subscribers because he actually informed me that these were up on the site, and normally given the fact that Nike Dunks are so hot nowadays, these do sell out really fast. So I was actually seriously doubting if I would be able to get a pair, but thankfully I did. I did customize mine to make it look like the 711 Nike SB Dunks that actually never released. If I do remember correctly, the Nike SB Dunk 711 was supposed to release last year, and it was supposed to be just in time for the Tokyo Olympics, but that got postponed and moved back to this year. So in the end, Nike just ended up scrapping the whole shoe. There are some pairs in existence though, and I think DJ Big Boy Cheng actually has one, and that's definitely insane because the actual Nike SB Dunk 711 is going for some serious cash. I mean, the last time I checked on StockX, a pair of Nike SB Dunk 711s in my size was actually going for around $4,000 US, and that's just absolutely crazy for a pair of shoes. But I guess the fact that it was really limited and that it was an unreleased sneaker just adds to the overall mystique and hype of the shoe. So given that we don't have $4,000 for a pair of shoes, I just decided to make my own version on Nike Bayou. There are quite a few differences though between my pair and the actual Nike SB Dunk 711, but before that, let's just quickly run through the tech specs on the Nike Dunk Low, and let's start off with the traction. For the traction on my pair of Nike Dunk Low Bayous, it is your basic Nike Dunk outsole, which in my opinion is one of the most grippy outsoles of all time. It is also pretty much the same as your Jordan 1 outsole. You have that pivot point underneath the ball of the foot, your radial pattern here at the forefoot, and your thick blocks of rubber here at the heel. The rubber on Nike Dunks is pretty thick and is super hard, so given that this is an 80s shoe, it's gonna last you a really long time. My pair does come with an all-gum rubber outsole, and that just aids in the grip even more, and I did try these out just walking around here at home, and it definitely just grips so hard that you almost feel like you're gonna pop your hip out if you suddenly stop. Then moving on to the cushion, given that this is a Nike Dunk Low, you pretty much don't have any because you just have a full-length rubber cupsole. That is one of the main differences between these and the Nike SB Dunk 711 because those are Nike SBs, which means that they do have a little bit more cushion in them with some zoom in the heel. Unfortunately, on Nike Bayou, you just have Nike Dunks, but if you are just using these for casual use and just walking around, I think the rubber cupsole is going to be adequate, especially if you're used to older shoes like Adidas Superstars, Chuck Taylors, or Jordan 1s. Then moving on to the upper, this Nike Dunk Low does have an all-leather upper, and it is surprisingly good. I guess surprisingly good is an understatement because I do have other pairs of Nike Dunks like the GR Nike Dunk High Villanovas and the Nike Dunk High Syracuse, and those had pretty cheap feeling leather that did feel pretty stiff out of the box. But when I took these out of the box the first time and I was able to touch the toe, I was just really surprised at how soft everything was, and just the overall quality of all of the cuts of leather on the shoe. I think for the upper of the shoe though, they use synthetic leather, but that's not really an issue for me because like I said, it is super soft. They use pretty thick cuts, and it also has this nice tumbled texture all throughout. So if any of you were wondering about the quality of materials on Nike Bayou Dunks, I'd definitely say that it's much better than what you get on normal GR pairs. Then for the other materials, you do have your usual nylon tongue, some nice and soft flat laces, and a textile sock liner. The sock liner is pretty interesting because instead of having that usual open-cell textile sock liner that you have on most Nike Dunks, you actually have this very smooth and somewhat satiny feeling sock liner on the Nike Dunk Low Bayou. Don't really have a preference one way or the other because I think they're both really comfy, and it also does have adequate padding just like most Nike Dunk Lows. Overall for the materials, I definitely give this my stamp of approval because I really didn't expect too much from it since it was a Nike Bayou sneaker, but definitely kudos to Nike and the Nike Bayou team because this definitely came out way better than I expected. Then moving on to fit and sizing, I did go true to size with my Nike Dunk Lows, and they do fit me pretty well. I do usually go down half a size with my Nike Dunks, but I was really rushing because these sell out really fast, so I accidentally checked out with a size 10 instead of a 9.5. It was okay though because I did try these on and it still fits me pretty comfortably, but I just do have some extra space lengthwise here at the toe. It is a bit more of a comfortable fit though if you go true to size, because the reason why I go down half a size in my Nike Dunk Highs especially is because I do kinda like wearing them with the laces untied, and it definitely helps having a more snug fit if you plan to wear your dunks that way. So for my recommendation on the sizing, if you do have a narrow foot, I think you can go down half a size, but if you have a wide foot, you can definitely go through the size. Then for those with normal width feet, you can choose to go down half a size or through the size, and that's really up to your preference because if you want a comfy and a bit more relaxed feel, then you can go through the size, but if you want a bit of a snug fit, you can go down half a size. Then for the aesthetic details, my Nike Bayou Nike Dunk Low does come with a full gum rubber outsole, a white rubber cupsole with white stitching, and an upper with a combination of red, green, orange, and white. I really do like how my Nike Bayou pair came out because it does seem pretty close to the Nike SB Dunk 711, at least in terms of the shades of red, green, and orange. There are some differences though between my Nike Bayou pair and the Nike SB Dunk 711, so I'll just be naming them off one by one. The first thing you will notice is that there isn't any 711 stamp here at the heel, and that's definitely not an option on Nike Bayou. I could also have my friend Custom Kicks just put a 711 logo here, and I will update you guys if I do end up having these customized just to make it even closer to the 711 Nike Dunks. One more big difference you can see is that the sock liner here is orange, where in the actual SB Dunk 711s, they were red. This is because there really wasn't an option to make the sock liner red, so I had to settle for orange. I don't think it's too big of an issue though because I do think the orange looks nice, especially since this back portion has orange leather as well. The Nike branding here at the back is also different. As you can see in my Nike Bayou pair, it is orange, but in the actual SB Dunks, it does have this sort of striped pattern with red, orange, and green. The next difference would be here at the tongue tab because this being a Nike Dunk Low just has your basic Nike branding, and you also can change the color of the branding on the tongue tab in Nike Bayou, so it just has your usual black. The Nike SB Dunk 711 actually has a green Nike SB logo with 711 written underneath. Here at the back of the tongue as well, you do have your usual Nike Dunk stuff like Nike and the swoosh name and stripe are trademarks and your guarantee of quality, etc, etc. But in the SB Dunks, you actually have a 711 patch behind the tongue. You also have a different insole on the Nike SB Dunks because in my Nike Dunk Low, you just have a black insole with your Nike branding, but with the Nike SB Dunk 711, you had a white insole with long stripes of red, green, and orange. Then for the last minor difference is that I just have my basic aglets here on the Nike Dunk Low, but with the 711 Nike Dunks, you do have small rings of red, green, and orange. Oh, and before I forget, there is one more difference, and it's actually here at the eyelets because there is a cut of leather here, and in the SB Dunk 711s, the cut is actually really clean, so it just cuts it from orange to green to red. But with the Nike Dunk Low, since that leather is just one piece, you can actually only choose one color for the entire thing. I ended up putting red on there because I think it worked the best because orange didn't seem too nice and the green looked really awkward since it extended into the forefoot, so I do think red was the best choice in this situation. Then for the overall aesthetics, I just really love how these came out. I mean, it's definitely such a quirky colorway with loud colors, but that's definitely the look I was going for. I'm definitely tempted to have my friend Custom Kicks just add the details in the shoe, and I just think when I have that done that these will just look super sick. So definitely stay tuned if I do decide to have these customized, because I definitely would want to share it with all of you. Then for the price, the Nike Bayou Nike Dunk Low retails for 6,445 pesos here in the Philippines, which roughly converts to around 120 or 125 US dollars. I am actually pretty happy with the price on these because you don't really have to add too much to the regular price of Nike Dunk Lows to get your own customized pair. The only problem is the availability though, because like I said a while ago, the hype on Nike Dunk Lows is just at an all-time high. So once you see these on site at Nike Bayou, they're pretty much gonna be sold out in a couple of minutes. You just have to be updated though with the Nike app and the Nike website so you don't miss it when they have restocks. So there you have it guys, that was my detailed review on my Nike Bayou Nike Dunk Low 711. And if you haven't already yet, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for notifications. Then as always, whether you're trying to get that retail win, or if you're trying to get some steals on the resale market, or if you're trying to customize a pair of dunks, just keep on hunting.